It happened on a warm afternoon in Spain, during one of the most chaotic shooting days of the entire production. Cameras were everywhere, assistants were running from one corner of the set to another, and fans had gathered behind the barriers, desperately hoping for just a glimpse of Yaman. To the public, it looked like any other shooting day. But what actually happened was something only one single person truly saw. The crowd was loud, energetic, and full of excitement. People were shouting his name, waving posters, mobile phones raised above their heads to record every second. Cannes' appearance on a European set always created a storm, but this time, something was different. The energy wasn't just excitement, it was tension, heat, emotion blended with exhaustion. The Spanish sun was merciless, and the fans had been waiting for hours. Among them was a young woman, maybe in her early 20s. She wasn't screaming. She wasn't trying to push through the crowd. She was simply standing there quietly, holding something close to her chest, something wrapped in a small blue cloth. Her eyes were hopeful, but her body language told a different story. She was shaking slightly, as if she lacked strength. Nobody noticed her. Everyone was focused on their phones. When Cannes finished a scene and started walking off set, the crowd went wild. Security immediately formed a protective circle around him. It was almost impossible for anyone to get close. The usual procedure when a celebrity of his level interacts with fans. But then, something unusual happened. Cannes slowed down. Just for half a second. Something had caught his eye. Security didn't see it. The production team didn't see it. The fans didn't see it. Even the cameras missed it. But that one quiet girl, the one who wasn't screaming, the one who looked like she might faint. For a moment, her knees buckled. She leaned forward, losing balance, her fingers trembling as the blue cloth almost slipped from her hands. And in that split second, Cannes noticed. He didn't hesitate. He didn't look around to see if it was being recorded. He didn't even alert his security. He simply broke formation. He stepped out of the protective circle, something celebrities never do. His body moved before anyone could react, before the fans even understood what was happening. He reached toward her, gently placing a hand on her arm to steady her. "Hey, you okay?" he whispered, soft enough that only two people heard it. Her eyes widened, her breath shaky. She tried to speak, but only managed a faint sound. The blue cloth in her hands trembled even more, slipping a little. Cannes saw it immediately. "What's that?" he asked quietly. She offered it to him with both hands, a gesture full of emotion, fear, and hope. And when he unfolded the cloth, the entire atmosphere changed. But again, almost no one saw it. Except for the single person who later revealed what really happened. And that's when the story truly begins. Cannes slowly unwrapped the blue cloth, and inside it was something incredibly simple, yet overwhelmingly personal. A small hand-drawn portrait of him, delicate, emotional, and clearly made with trembling fingers. It wasn't perfect, the lines weren't professional, the shading inconsistent. But the emotion behind it? That was unmistakable. It was the kind of drawing that wasn't made in hours, but in months. Hours of love. Hours of pain. Hours of someone trying to express something they could never say out loud. Cannes looked at it for longer than anyone expected. He didn't smile for the cameras. He didn't pose. He didn't treat it like a casual fan gift. Something in the drawing caught him, something about the eyes. They were soft, sad, and full of gratitude, exactly like hers. "Did you draw this?" he asked. She nodded, swallowing hard, trying to keep her balance. Her hands were still shaking, but this time, it wasn't from weakness. It was emotion. Something deep, raw, and private. Security instinctively moved in to pull him back to the protective circle, but Cannes raised his hand slightly, signaling them to stop. A gesture small enough that the crowd didn't see it. A gesture powerful enough that his entire team froze. He wasn't done. He leaned a bit closer, lowering his voice. "Why does it feel like this isn't just a drawing?" he asked softly. Her eyes filled with tears immediately. This wasn't a random fan moment. This wasn't fangirling. This was something else, something heavy she had been carrying alone. She took a shaky breath and finally whispered, "It was the last thing my sister made before she passed away. She loved you more than anyone. And she wanted you to have it." Ken froze. It hit him like a quiet lightning bolt. Not dramatic. Not loud. But devastating. He looked at the drawing again, this time with a different kind of gaze. The kind where emotions get stuck in the throat and words stop coming out. The girl tried to smile, but her voice cracked. "I promised her I would deliver it. But I didn't think I could reach you. I almost gave up." In that instant, everything around them disappeared, the crowd, the cameras, the noise, the set, the schedule. Time stopped. And only two people existed in that moment. Ken gently touched the drawing again, carefully, respectfully, almost as if it were something sacred. Then he said something no one expected, "Wait here." The girl blinked, confused. Celebrities don't say wait here. Celebrities don't leave security formation. Celebrities don't walk away from fans mid-interaction, unless something serious is happening. But Ken did. He walked straight to his trailer, fast, focused, with the drawing still in his hands. The production team tried to ask him what was happening, but he didn't answer. Security followed him, confused and tense. The fans behind the barrier were completely unaware. They only saw him walk away. Only one person actually witnessed the entire interaction from start to finish. And that person would later reveal the secret of what Ken did next, something so unexpected, so emotional, that it left even the crew speechless. Inside his trailer, Ken closed the door and leaned against it for a moment, drawing in a slow, heavy breath. The portrait was still in his hands, fragile, emotional, irreplaceable. He placed it gently on the small table beside the mirror, staring at it with an intensity he didn't show often. This wasn't a fan gift anymore. This was a piece of someone's heart. This was a promise fulfilled by a girl who could barely stand on her feet. He sat down in silence. His fingers brushed the edges of the paper, noticing the imperfections, the smudges, signs that the girl's sister had probably redrawn it over and over again until it felt right. Ken's throat tightened. Then he did something not a single crew member expected. He opened the drawer beneath the mirror, the private one he rarely let anyone touch, and pulled out a small leather-bound notebook. The kind of notebook he kept his most personal thoughts in. The kind where he wrote down memories he didn't want to forget. He flipped to a blank page, took a pen, and wrote something quickly but carefully. It wasn't long. It wasn't elaborate. It was sincere. Then he tore the page out, folded it neatly, and placed it inside the blue cloth along with the portrait. There was a quiet knock. Outside, the crowd was louder now, confused about why he suddenly disappeared. Production assistants were worried. Security was tense. Reporters were already speculating. But Ken didn't rush. He opened the trailer door and nodded to security. "I'll be a moment," he said firmly. Security followed him again, forming that protective circle, the barrier between him and the world. But this time, he wasn't walking toward the set. He was walking back to her. The girl was still there, struggling to stay steady on her feet. She wasn't crying anymore. She wasn't shaking. She was simply waiting, exactly as he had told her. Fans were shouting his name again. Cameras were recording. But none of them understood why he had come back. Only one person did. Only that single witness who had watched the entire moment unfold from the start. Ken approached her slowly, then stopped right in front of her. He held out the folded blue cloth. "This is yours," he said gently. The girl shook her head instantly. No, it was for you, I know," he whispered. "And I'm keeping it. But this is for you." He placed the cloth in her hands. Confused, she slowly opened it, and when she saw the neatly folded note inside, her breath broke. She covered her mouth with her hand, tears filling her eyes again. Her voice cracked. "You wrote something for her?" "For both of you," he said softly. She couldn't speak. She couldn't even look at him. Her whole body trembled. And then Ken did something that shocked even the security team. He reached out and pulled her into a gentle, protective hug. Not a fan service hug. Not a quick, polite moment. A real hug. A meaningful one. One filled with warmth, grief, gratitude, all at once. The crowd went silent for a moment. The cameras went wild. But the true meaning of that hug? The emotional weight behind it? Only that one witness truly understood. Because that witness saw the tears in the girl's eyes. He saw the way Ken held her, steady, comforting, human. He saw the way Ken whispered something into her ear, something too soft for the cameras to catch. And that witness would later reveal exactly what Ken said in that moment. Words that would change everything. The entire set had fallen into a strange, suspended silence. Even the fans, who moments earlier were screaming and pushing against the barriers, seemed frozen. They didn't know what was happening. They couldn't hear it, couldn't see clearly through the wall of security and the chaos of phones held high. But one person, that same quiet witness, had the perfect angle. And he saw it all. He saw how Ken leaned closer to the girl while still holding her gently. He saw how her shoulders shook, how she tried to contain her emotions, how her fingers clutched the folded note without letting go. Then Ken whispered something. Something small. Something soft. Something that wasn't meant for the crowd, the cameras, or the press. The witness saw the moment the girl's eyes widened, and the tears she had been holding back finally spilled down her cheeks. After a few seconds, Ken pulled back, just enough to look directly into her eyes. No smile. No dramatic expression. Just a deep, soft look, the kind you give when you're speaking honestly, without filters, without distance. And then he said it quietly, but clearly enough for the witness to read his lips, "She's proud of you." The girl collapsed into tears. Not the hysterical kind. Not the dramatic kind. But the kind that only comes once, the kind that happens when a piece of your heart finally finds peace. She covered her face, overwhelmed. Ken placed a hand on her back, steadying her again. Security stepped closer, unsure whether to intervene, unsure whether this level of intimacy was allowed in such a chaotic environment. But Ken ignored them. He wasn't thinking about rules, schedules, or his image. He was thinking about her. And the sister she had lost. A production assistant tried approaching him with the schedule for the next scene, whispering that they were falling behind. But Ken raised his hand slightly, a calm but unmistakable signal that he needed another moment. Then something else happened, something even the cameras failed to catch. The girl finally lifted her head, eyes swollen with tears, and whispered, "She never missed a single episode. You helped her through the hardest nights, you helped us both, you have no idea." Ken swallowed hard. He did know. He had heard stories from fans before, messages, letters, moments of gratitude, but somehow, this one was different. Maybe it was the drawing. Maybe it was the sister's final wish. Maybe it was the way the girl stood alone in the crowd, trembling yet determined. Whatever it was, it reached him. He nodded slowly, then said something the witness would never forget, "Then I'm keeping this forever." The girl's lips trembled. She nodded, unable to say a word. And as he stepped back, security moved in again, tightening the circle around him. The crowd began screaming his name once more, completely unaware of the emotional moment that had just taken place. But the witness kept watching. Because he saw something else, something subtle. As Ken turned away, he wiped his eye. Just once. Quickly. Quietly. Almost invisibly. But it was there. And that was the moment the witness realized, Ken wasn't acting. He wasn't performing. He wasn't doing it for the cameras. He had felt it. Truly. And that's when the witness made a decision. He would later reveal the truth. Exactly what happened, exactly what Ken whispered, exactly why this moment mattered so much. But there was still one more part of the story left, something that happened just minutes later, something that would completely shock the entire crew. As Ken walked back toward the set, the atmosphere around him shifted. Everyone, assistants, camera operators, makeup artists, could feel it. He wasn't walking like a celebrity returning from a fan interaction. He was walking like someone who had just carried a piece of someone's pain, and refused to put it down. The witness kept watching him closely, not out of curiosity, but because he sensed something was still unfolding. Something no one else had realized yet. When Ken reached the edge of the set, the director approached him immediately. "Ken, we need you back for the next scene. We're behind schedule." Normally, Ken would nod, reset his focus, and return to work. He was known for his discipline, his professionalism, even on his most exhausting days. But this time, he didn't respond right away. Instead, he looked back toward the girl, still standing alone by the barrier, clutching the folded cloth and the note he had written. And then he said something the crew definitely did not expect: "Give me 3 more minutes." The director blinked. 3 minutes? On a tight shooting schedule? For a fan? But Ken wasn't asking. He was informing. He turned around again, and walked straight back to the girl. The crowd went wild. People screamed his name, phones shot into the air, security panicked. But Ken wasn't heading to the fans as a group. He walked toward her, and only her. The witness followed every step with his eyes. When Ken reached her, she looked more overwhelmed than before, as if she still couldn't process what had already happened. But Ken wasn't done. He gently pointed to the security guard beside her and said, "Let her inside the barrier." The guard hesitated. "No one passes this line, sir, let her in." The tone wasn't angry, just firm, calm, and absolutely final. Security opened the barrier. The girl stepped inside, stunned, her breath unsteady, her eyes wide and terrified, like she couldn't understand why any of this was happening. The crowd lost its mind. Some fans screamed in jealousy. Some begged for the same treatment. Some cried. Some recorded. But none of them understood the moment. Only one witness did. Inside the barrier, the noise suddenly felt far away. The girl stood in front of him, nearly speechless. Ken took a deep breath and slowly reached into his pocket. What he pulled out made the witness's heart skip. It was a small silver bracelet, one he had been wearing earlier that day, one fans had seen in dozens of photos, one that had become almost symbolic in his recent public appearances. He held it out to her. "For your sister," he whispered. "And for you." Her knees weakened. She almost fell. Security instinctively stepped forward, but Ken caught her before she stumbled. She covered her face, shaking her head in disbelief. "No. I can't accept that, it's yours." Ken leaned in closer, speaking quietly enough that only she and the witness could hear. "She gave me something precious today. Let me give something back." Her tears fell freely now, heavy, painful, healing. She pressed the bracelet to her chest as if holding something sacred. Ken gently placed a hand on her shoulder, grounding her. Then, suddenly, something completely unexpected happened. The girl whispered, "Thank you. I won't forget this." And Ken answered, "Neither will I." The witness felt his heart tighten. Because celebrities say thank you. Celebrities say take care. Celebrities say nice to meet you. But they do not say, "Neither will I." Ken stepped back, gave her one last warm, steady look, and then turned toward the set again. This time ready to work, but carrying a new weight in his eyes. The girl watched him until he disappeared behind the equipment trucks. And the witness realized something important: this wasn't a PR moment. This wasn't for show. This wasn't something to trend on social media. This was real. This was human. This was personal. But the story wasn't finished yet. Because minutes later, something happened that even Ken didn't expect. Something the witness would later reveal as the final twist of the day. Just minutes after Ken returned to the set, everything seemed to go back to normal. The director called for action. Cameras rolled. Assistants rushed around. The crowd outside screamed every time Ken appeared in their view. To everyone else, the emotional moment with the girl was already over, just another interaction lost in the chaos of a shooting day. But the witness. He kept watching her. She wasn't leaving. She was standing completely still, holding the silver bracelet against her chest, breathing unevenly, staring at the ground like she was trying to understand whether what happened was real or just a dream. And then, it happened. The wind picked up, just slightly. The blue cloth she held fluttered. The folded note Ken had written loosened and slipped from her fingers, falling gently toward the ground. She gasped. The witness rushed forward to help her catch it. But the girl caught it first, her reflexes sharp despite her trembling hands. She held the note tightly, almost protectively. The witness, now standing closer than anyone else, saw something he didn't expect. Her hands weren't shaking from nerves anymore. They were shaking from relief. Deep, overwhelming relief. Because on the back side of the note, the side she hadn't seen before, there was something else. A small signature. Not a celebrity signature. Not a stylized autograph meant for fans. It was something different, for her. And for the one who kept her promise. See. The girl froze. Her lips parted. Tears filled her eyes again, but this time, not from sadness. From closure. She looked up at the witness, the only person close enough to have seen what was written, and whispered, "He understood, he actually understood." The witness nodded, speechless. Because now he understood something too. What Ken did wasn't kindness. It wasn't politeness. It wasn't fan interaction. It was gratitude. Deep, personal gratitude for a girl who carried her sister's final wish all the way to a chaotic film set in Spain. The witness watched her leave slowly, stepping away from the barrier with the bracelet on her wrist, the note in her hand, and a peacefulness she didn't have when she arrived. And then, something even more revealing happened. As she left, she turned one last time, not toward the cameras, not toward the fans, not toward the chaos, but toward the set where Ken was filming. Her eyes were soft, steady, thankful. And the witness saw it clearly. She wasn't just grateful to meet a celebrity. She was grateful because Ken made her sister's final wish feel seen, heard, honored. And that's when the witness understood the truth. Only one person noticed what Yaman really did that day. Not because others weren't watching.